So Rod, your internet's working, I'm glad.
Yes, hopefully everything will stay the same. It's I'm still not trusting it, but
Yeah.
it's just, and I'm getting really frustrated. But I rebooted everything just before we got ready to go here, and I think everything will be fine. So
Great.
Should I stop sharing this screen at this point, or can you turn that off?
You could stop.
Okay, and then I can put it on when you want me to. How's that?
Yeah, that's
all
good.
Right.
Yeah,
that's good.
All right, we've got people.
Yeah, now we can get a better look at everybody.
Yeah, I see a few people are coming in here, so it's good. We'll see. It's I wish we could have had you all in person up at the country club like we usually do. It's that's far superior, I think, to this, but we're making do. So
well, we're running the company is running the business on Zoom now, so
yeah,
it works. It's working amazingly well, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, it's been an interesting, whether you're working from home or coming in as you need to, it's been an interesting exercise. So
yeah, I'm not even allowed to go into the building anymore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
I enjoyed looking on your company's website to see the international presence. Looks like offices throughout Europe and South America and whatnot. So
yeah, we got a whole lot of places we can't go to right now. So they're on their own and actually doing very well. The overseas component, especially Asia, is really going well.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And Rod, Ruth says thank you again for accepting the invite and participating. So
sure, not a problem.
All right. I'm just checking. All right. So it's we've got about 8 minutes. So
just
whatever.
I just hang tight here.
Yeah.
No problem.
Sydney, what's keeping you busy this summer?
Well, because of COVID, I'm not working my normal job that I have. So I've been going out on the boat a lot.
Yeah.
The
Sounds
beach
like a good idea.
Yeah.
So do you live on the water?
No. I live at the south end of Torch Lake where the sandbar is.
Yeah.
I live back a couple roads.
Okay. Yep. Well, then you're a little bit safer back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know the chain of lakes very well. I grew up on Elk Lake.
Oh, cool. Yeah, my uncle has a house on Elk Lake, so we go there too.
Okay. Well, there's Ron Jolly.
Hey, Rod, how are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
I was just reflecting on my visit to your place when I was a judge for the Small Business Awards a long time ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking about your the way you had your employees. You had I think a committee to decide what kind of community work or charitable work the company would get behind.
Yep, we have a charity group. Yep.
Yeah.
Works real good. Well, it works well for a lot of reasons. If people are solicit, you say, well, we just got to put you over to the church to that group, and it simplifies everything.
I just drove by your place the other day. I'm not over there very often, and I was thinking it's like the best. It's like a hidden company. It's like a hidden secret over there.
Well, it really is. There's a whole story about that because there's 10 acres over there, and not many people would ever believe it. And we're located in the least favorable spot on the property, actually, because we wanted to save the best for last, But it's people just didn't believe that there was 10 acres there. And when I bought it, it was so distressed that I bought it on a land contract from a company that was out of state, and it was amazing.
So, did you develop any more of the acreage?
No, we haven't really developed more of the acreage. We've opened up another easement through so we could, but it's awfully nice just like it is.
Yeah.
a lot of good places to walk and for the employees to enjoy. We have 700 feet on the river there.
I thought there was water. Yeah, that's right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Is that Sydney there?
Yeah, hi.
Hi, thanks for joining. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good deal. Good job. And is Chris is there?
I'm here twice.
Oh, so what's the lowdown here? What are we going to do?
Sure. So we got 5 minutes till we're on and being broadcast. So people are watching and enjoying our conversation. I'm going to give it 5 more minutes, and then at noon I'll run through some brief announcements. And then Ron, if you don't mind, hand it off, and you could, go through the essay
Sure.
information. I've got some notes as well, so we can do that. So
Got it. Let's see.
excellent.
I'm gonna just put is Sydney. Are we going to ask Sydney some questions, or just introduce Sydney and
Yeah,
she
I think
read
if
anything?
we get a little background from Sydney and whatnot, and, what's up and what the future may hold, and go from there. So
Okay. Alrighty.
And I'll jump into it, if that's helpful. So
Alrighty.
and then that'll be it. Ron, after that, you can change to a regular old attendee, and I'll introduce Rod, and we'll go from there. So
All right. I'll figure that out. I'm gonna go grab a cup of water here while we have time.
sounds good.
He's doing a FaceTime.
Oh, we're not.
They're not on yet. WTCM.
Sydney, I'm going to mute you until the essay part. So.
While we're waiting, give me a little history of the Economic Club.
All right. I should know more, I suppose, but it goes back into the early 80s, and probably when I was shortly after I was born, and it has a great long running. I mean, we've got over 200 members. Usually it's a monthly lunch. It's and get tremendous speakers month over month. Great group. One of my favorites is it's amazing all the new members that we get, and the diversity of experience and work history, and everybody that's either working here or retired here, and so it ends up being a good hour and a half conversation on a Friday. So I'm the president until the end of this year, and then we get to hand it off, and it's been quite a unique last few months. So trying to keep it moving along here. So
yep, it'd be nice to have a crystal ball right now.
Yeah, we shall see. So
we're in a black swan moment, so we get big opportunities here now if we just can figure out what they are and seize them.
Yeah, definitely. So all right, people are coming in here. Let's see. Okay, 12 o'clock. So I will put the show on the road here. Good Friday afternoon, Economic Club. This is Chris Rogers, the president. We've got another webinar today in place of the in-person meetings. As you may recall in our prior announcements, we are looking to resume in-person meetings when it's safe to do so. That's to be determined. And so you can expect a webinar in August as well. And then we'll look at what we do for September. So it's another beautiful summer day. So hopefully we work through this. You enjoy the hour with Rod and Sydney and Ron and myself, and then we can get you back out to the sunshine. So as a reminder, during the presentation, please submit questions via the chat feature or the Q&A feature, and I'll keep an eye on them and try to ask them of Rod after the bulk of his presentation. So not a whole lot of announcements other than that. I'm going to, I'll briefly thank Ron Jolly for chairing the scholarship essay contest committee and moving that through, and Gina Thornberry as well for all her efforts in coordinating that. So, and the many, the readers as well who took the time to read through the essays and contribute. So Ron, I muted you, so I'll try to either unmute you or ask you to unmute yourself and let you introduce our, there you go, essay winner. So.
Okay, and I would like to echo what you said. I am named the entitled the chair of the committee for the first year, but Gina Thornberry, who's handled it for all these years, and I wish I had some better light here, has done a lot of the work, and I've learned hopefully enough to do this next year. So Gina, thank you. And of course, all of the readers, it's a lot of reading to do and thinking. So thank all of you. About, I think it was 52 entries. So terrific essays that have come in. And we did narrow it down to 2. Our first place winner could not be with us today. She is working at Prometheant, a local tech manufacturer. And she attended Mansalona High School and then took it, as she told me, she had the opportunity to attend the Manufacturing Technology Academy, where she was excited to study economics and physics and other fun subjects, and then scored this summer job. And she hopes to go on and get a degree in engineering through Michigan Tech and through NMC here in Traverse City. Her name is Gina Angers. I believe it looks like anger, but I believe it's pronounced Angers. And she, the first place winner, and scores $1,500. And she was thrilled to receive that and is disappointed she could not be here and join us today. The second place winner is with us today, and maybe can tell us more about herself. Sydney Standerfer from Elk Rapids is a junior, so she's just going into her senior year and wins $1,000 as the second place winner. Congratulations, Sydney. I believe everybody can see Sydney there. And Cindy, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, why you entered the contest and how you're spending your summer going into your senior year? Is that good, Chris? Can we take a moment?
That's great. Yeah, certainly. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So hi, everyone. So I was in AP Lang class this year. And my teacher saw this prompt and she thought that it would be good for us to enter in. And when I saw it, I was actually like really excited, because if you read my essay, you know that this is something that I've actually experienced firsthand, this housing crisis that we're in northern Michigan, especially I live at the south end of Torch Lake in Rapid City. And I think this is one of the most prominent areas where I see how expensive rentals are. This is a big topic I talked about in my essay. But yeah, so that's why I entered. And then, so I'll be a senior next year. And then after that, I'm planning to go to MSU for interior design. It's my plan. So.
And you, normally, what would you be doing, and what are you doing now to earn money and work in the summertime here?
Yeah, so normally I'm a waitress at a little restaurant in Elk Rapids called Harbor Cafe, but right now they're not open back up for dine-in, so I haven't really worked, been enjoying myself. And then now that it's getting into cherry season, my dad owns a cherry farm, so I'm gonna help him out over there.
And the you referenced the affordable housing. I neglected to let our viewers know that the essay contest asked students to identify the affordable housing problem in our area and then to come up and offer some solutions. And that was their task there. I don't know if you want, well,
Yeah.
Chris, I'm not sure what kind of time we have, so.
No, that's great. I think Sydney, thanks again. I mean, Ron, thanks for running through that. And the only other note, Tim Wheatley is Gina's teacher and Victoria Wilson is Sydney's teacher. And they will each be awarded $100 each to use in their, in-person or virtual classrooms or otherwise perhaps. So we'll see what the fall holds there.
Mm-hmm.
So great. Enjoyed the essay, Sydney. Well written, and we appreciate your taking the time. So best of luck in the future.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sydney.
So, all right. So what I'm going to do is mute and stop the video. All right. So I'm going to move in. I'll introduce Rod. Rod, you're, we might just go with injection molding 101, and you can educate us all, or we'll talk about the business. So I'll run through your bio a little bit and then hand over the webinar to you. So, Rod Groleau of RJG Inc. is our speaker presenter today. He worked in the plastics industry for over 40 years. His experience and in-depth knowledge of the injection molding process have made him a leader in the industry. He received a bachelor's degree of engineering from Kettering University and a master's degree from Michigan State University. I'm not going to read the whole bio. I'm just getting to the brief highlights, and then Rod can get into it. So RJG Inc. is a product of two of his prior companies. He currently consults with numerous clients on the application of plastic technologies, including processing, process control and optimization, CAD, CAM, and new technology implementation techniques. Some of the clients include Ford, IBM, 3M, Dow Chemical, Hewlett Packard, General Electric, and several other major corporations. Rod has an intriguing career that accelerated through the 80s and 90s as he developed his expertise in numerous industry firsts, including the process control system and the mold pressure sensor, which he can perhaps get into a little bit more of. So I encourage you, if you haven't already, to read through the bio that was shared via email and on our website. You might also visit rjginc.com. I was browsing through that yesterday evening, and it's there's quite an extensive reach there. So Rod, thanks for taking the time. I'm going to hand this over to you. I'll mute and go off of here and be listening if something's needed. So. Okay. Rod, are you there? Did we?
You got it?
All right, right. Yeah, I got you now. It was frozen for a minute.
Oh, all right.
So
That's not good.
No, it's great now. So
Okay.
You're
All
more
right.
than yeah. You can share your screen and do whatever. I'll mute
All right.
myself.
All right. So, well, just to start out with, first of all, injection molding is a very simple thing. You take plastic, you put it into a tube and heat it up, and you shove it into a mold and fill the holes in the mold, and you pressurize it and you cool it, and then you sell the hole. And everything else is a detail. It's kind of like what Vince Lombardi said when he would start every season showing the football to his team. He'd hold it up and he'd say, "Gentlemen, this is a football. Your job is to find it and put it over there and keep the other guys from taking it over there. Everything else is just a theory." Well, this is sort of how I look at the business of injection molding. It's very, very simple from a conceptual point of view, from the broad conception, but it gets rather technical and complicated as we go a little farther. Also, as I think about speaking to a group, an economics club, I always remember the lame comment by Harry Truman saying he's always looking for a one-armed economist, so he couldn't say on the other hand. And I guess we really need one of those right now with all the uncertainty we've got in the world. But uncertainty brings opportunity, and you just have to be optimistic and go and find it. So with that, I'm going to get started here and go through the presentation, then we can talk and ask questions and whatever. So let's see what we can do here. Okay, now there it is. Okay, so is everybody, am I on? I guess I am. Okay. Well, I always say this is my younger brother, but all I got to do is make it work. Okay, we'll start at the beginning here kind of quickly. You heard some of it. Started right off the farm up here in good old Williamsburg and went to Elk Rapids High School and went to General Motors Institute, which is now Kettering University, and I co-opted an AC spark plug in Flint, Michigan, which is one of the biggest molders in the world at the time, making especially instrument panels for GM automobiles. And they were having some big problems with parts varying in size, especially lengthwise. And the problem was not that they couldn't fit them in the car. The problem was that, and they started to try to decorate them and paint them, they would vary and they would shut down the line because they'd have to adjust the paint mask. So they needed to know, how can we make these parts more predictable? And that's where my thesis, injection molded part size control, really started. Well, we could go through a whole lot of stuff about the tests and what we did, but basically the finding really comes down to what we have right here. What happens in the cavity stays in the parts. In other words, the process is inside the mold and not on the machine. The machine is only kind of vaguely connected to what's going on in there. And each mold cavity is a unique process. We tend to think of, okay, if I have 32 equal size holes and I squirt plastic in, I should get 32 equal parts. Well, it doesn't always work that way. And but if each way the way the cavities are filled, packed, and cooling determines what's going to happen. And if we sense what's going on in there, we can guarantee absolute quality, and we can do it before the mold opens, which is important because especially if you have a lot of small plastic parts, if you've seen injection molding, you know that parts can come flying out of there and go every which way. And if you know that those parts are suspect, at least we can sort them out. So give you a little history. I started out in the consulting business in 1985, long after having started co-founded a company with my thesis advisor at GM, Don Paulson, out in Connecticut. And that was when my one son was 2 years old and my other one wasn't born yet, and they're in their 50s now. So that says it was a long time ago. And it was a good opportunity to do that early because we didn't have anything. So we packed everything up in a U-Haul truck and we drove out to Connecticut and we helped start a company. And my wife at the time, and still is my business partner, was 7 months pregnant and rode out there in a U-Haul truck and we started it. It was, looking back, you never do it after you got, some assets. We sold that company, and then I started this company in 1985, and we did a lot of work with basically consulting and training. But what happened was when we were teaching the technology of what we call systematic molding, or scientific molding, it was called at the time, you had to have equipment to go in and sense what's going on inside the mold. So we co-founded RJG Technologies. I had another fellow come in to run it. And we started supplying sensors and data acquisition systems in 1989. In 1999, 10 years after that, we originally founded them as separate companies because we didn't want the industry to think that we were consulting and then just selling our products. But our customers said it's just too confusing, and you've got your credibility now. You don't need to worry about that. So we put them all together and just called them RJG Incorporated, and we didn't get purchase orders mixed up and all that sort of thing. Little product history, we started out with analog devices. In fact, before that, we called strip chart recorders, which was basically like an EKG, where we could take waveforms of what was going on in sensors in a mold. And then we developed this analog device, which actually controlled the process from what's going on in there. And in 1991, we went digital, and we got a data acquisition system was developed to actually put this data on a computer, so we could do waveform analysis and see what was going on. But it's still pretty crude. I always remember if you decided to leave the record button on a laptop and left it on overnight, the computer was full when you got back in the morning. Bad stuff. 1998, we developed a master molder certification program because we recognized that we needed more than just education. We needed training. And if you don't understand the difference between education and training, recognize that if you watch a juggler play or the symphony orchestra play, you can't play the violin and you can't juggle. You've got to have hands on, and you've got to do some things. You got to do it to know it. So the master molder program is really on machine based, and we do this worldwide now. 2000, we developed the system called the eDart system, and it was way revolutionary at its time. We developed smart sensors that were truly digital from the sensor. And when you plugged them into the system knew what they were and either what mold they were in or what machine they were on. And we were able to then put this smart data system into plants and run them. We also had the digital sensors, which were first and are still first. 2004, we developed a mold tryout certification program, because if you have a new mold, you don't just squirt plastic in it and then get a good part and make it and think that it's ready to go into production. We actually use methodologies that challenge the mold early so that we can avoid the rush when we get it into a production mode. We introduced an eDart called V10, which was a touchscreen system, and it was an up-to-date version of in 2012. The eDart system is still a very active system, and we have thousands of them out in the field, and it's 20-year-old computer technology at this point. It wasn't Windows, by the way. It was called QNX operating system, which was we've never had one hacked, and we've never had one freeze that we know of. 2016, we introduced the hub plant networking system. This is a Linux-based system, and it allows you to network all the systems that we have out in the plant together, so you could see the data and you could see it on a browser, so you can activate and go look at your plant from anywhere in the world. And that was a big jump. And we now have the Copilot process match assistant, which allows when a problem exists on the machine, instead of you walking up to the machine and seeing an alarm, it will be showing you advice as to what to do to make it go away. And during that time, we then are able to sort those parts out that continue to be made, so they don't get downstream to the customer. We went global really, we got pulled global by our big customers. We do a lot of work with Fortune 500 companies, and more we're doing a lot of work with the medical companies and pharmaceutical companies. But we especially in automotive connectors are big, and in ink cartridges for printers. We got pulled into Singapore first because a couple of our customers had business in Malaysia and in Singapore at the time. And it was very easy to start a business in Singapore. I remember going there in 2004 with my son, Matt, and we had a meeting set up with the solicitor, and we walked into his, I'll call it a cubicle because it wasn't really an office. It had a card table and it had 4 chairs, and he had one of them and we had 2 of them. And of course, he had the documents to sign to start a corporation. And I said, well, can we have our corporate attorney back in the US review these? He said, oh, for sure. He said, but you can't change them. He said, everybody does the same thing in Singapore, from the biggest to the smallest company. And he said, by the way, you can get the whole book of forms for doing legal documents in Singapore for $35 if you want to send him the whole thing. So that's how easy it was to go into Singapore. And if you haven't been to Singapore, it's an amazing place. It got a lot of rules, but it works really, really well, especially from a business point of view. We then got pulled into Europe, and we decided, we went into France because it's in a molding area close to Switzerland and to Germany. And we had the opportunity to get a highly technical guy that could run it, and he's still with us. And we always brought technical people in first because they could work with the customers. And then as business would continue, we would eventually put on salespeople. But all of our people go through master molder school, so they know how to fix things and how to help the customer if they're in a bind. 2010, we went into Germany, and Germany is a tough place, for a U.S. company to sell technology, but and it's compounded by the fact that our major competitor, Kistler, is in Switzerland. So, and they had quite a beachhead there. But we are doing quite well there now. It's been interrupted some, but they're getting back on stream again. 2011, we went into Ireland and Mexico. Some of that had to do with the ink business, where ink cartridges are made, because we had an opportunity to work with Hewlett Packard, and they had 3 competitive molders in 5 locations throughout the world. And they wanted this group of 3 companies to decide on what the process would be in all the molds, and then share technology with each other so that they could have the utmost quality. There was a lot of resistance to that at first, but once these 3 companies realized what it was buying them, that they were becoming the cream of the crop because they've been sharing technology, it wasn't really a problem. And we sort of refereed the match between these companies, and that was kind of exciting and fun. And we did it from Michigan. But we had a lot of work in Ireland at that time, and we then got pulled into Mexico as part of that package also. And in 2012, because a lot of the Singapore and Malaysia work was moving over to China, we kept our Singapore office, but we put a Chinese beachhead in under it. And that was how we started the China office, which is now our biggest overseas office in terms of revenue. 2013, we started moving our training out of Traverse City because it was difficult for people to travel up here, and especially in the wintertime. And so Atlanta was a good central location. You know, if you're in the South, and you die, you have to go to Atlanta before you go to heaven or hell. So Atlanta was a good hub to get people in and out of. And we're right off I-75, and it's a pretty handy training center. 2015, we got an opportunity to buy a company in the UK that somewhat competed with us in the training business, but they didn't have equipment. And in our business, the training creates missionaries. The equipment, the systems allow the sensors to work, and the sensors pay the bills. That's the film and the camera. So it was very helpful for their business to start working with us, and it was synergistic. And it's taken more time than we would have liked. They always do, but we're turning the corner now, and it's paying its own way. We put in training facilities at one of the things they had in the UK was a wonderful molding lab with lots of molding machines where we could do our master molder series. And you have to have laboratories equipped with molding machines. So it's a lot of capital. We generally get consignment machines from our from suppliers of these molding machines, and they rotate them. We put in a North Carolina training center because of demand, and we're now probably going to move that to a university at their request. They'll build us a facility and equip it, and they will incorporate some of our courses in their curriculum. We now have a Mexico training center, and one of the reasons was in 2019 is the Mexican people didn't want to come to the U.S. and be trained. So we opened the first training center in molding in the U.S. or in Mexico in cooperation with a customer down there. And so now we have a lot of training going on in Mexico. And we've just opened a German training center just before the whole pandemic thing hit, which has been kind of exciting, but it's doing okay now. So the first thing we do is we do consulting. We get involved with customers because and we try to get involved early. If you got an idea, we'd like to be in on the part design. You build a tool, which is a very expensive thing called a mold, which is a very expensive box full of nothing, and nobody really likes to pay for them and own them, but they're a necessary evil. If you want to move that mold from one place to another and make the same part, if you have the data from in the mold, it's easy to do. And we can also work with, we can move a company up to another level with instrumented molding. We also do process training. As I said before, training and education are different. We do some education, but more and more we do training. The interesting thing that's a fallout of this whole pandemic situation is our training business really took a hit, especially the public training. And so now we're pushing all of our stuff online. We have that ability. We've been working on it for some time, but we really accelerated it. And we're experimenting with hybrid training, where we have an in-plant seminar with a few people in it, and we allow other people coming in, like we're coming in right now, over their shoulder. And the people that are actually at the facility become the platoon leaders for the people that are coming in, so that when they go out and actually run molding machines at the facility, they can work as a team. So this is a whole different new game, but we think it's going to work out pretty well. Our real core competency is cavity pressure, sensing, process control, and we have the older but still very much alive EDART system, in-cavity sensors, the co-pilot, and the hub. And the hub being a browser-based system, it allows anybody to go in with access and look at process data and analyze what's going on in their facility. So our approach allows implementation and documenting robust processes. Truly robust processes should never allow a bad part or a suspect part to escape from the molding room. We minimize those abnormal parts. You still have to make some when you start up a machine or you interrupt a machine, but we don't want them to go downstream and get into somebody's heart defibrillator. That used to be a joke until my brother had a recall on his, and then you started to realize how important that was. We can detect and contain any questionable parts, and it's never as crystal clear as good or bad. So we have to contain a lot of extra parts to get all the bad ones. So we determine the root cause of the defects through data. And we also have the ability to document part traceability. If you have a date stamp on a part or a date and time stamp on the box, we can go back and look at all the waveform data for the parts being made on that machine, and to see whether we can see through data which parts were bad. We actually have the date of birth of every part that we ever mold. And we focus our resources. You know, you don't want to make the same mistake over and over again, and that's really a key today. So we really gain control over two things, the two greatest variables: the people and the plastic. The people with training, and the plastic with data. And it's not an easy thing. Now, if I knew today what I know now about how hard change is, I might not have tried this. But we now know how important it is to get commitments at all levels of an organization, and to not only have a we not only have a quarterback to make the plays on the floor, but we got to have a general manager, and we have to have a coach on the sidelines to make sure that we don't have chaos out there. So this is our business, helping injection molders succeed. We do it all over the world, and from our little bitty place here up here in Traverse City, Michigan, over on Park Drive, and when things open up, we'd love to have you take a tour, but you can do so on our website, and we've got a lot of stuff out there. So thanks for listening, and I open for any questions you might have.
Rod, thank you very much. It's intriguing. I got, just as a kind of a layman inquiry, when you're, with the sensors and testing the molding and determining the date of birth, I mean, is it a little sensor inside the mold in one part that measures the pressure there, or is it,
Yes, it is. Yeah, actually, ideally, we'd put a sensor in every cavity.
Mm-hmm.
That can be very expensive. And so there's a lot of people that think, oh my God, I can't afford to put a $500 sensor in each cavity of a 32 cavity mold.
Okay.
But way back when we first got into the EDART system, we were able to do that. And we took a little mold that you could pick up and carry that was making windshield wiper clips in Rochester, New York. And we put a sensor in every one of those molds, and the mold instrumentation cost $40,000. It ran 24/7, 3 shifts for 8 years, and they never sent a bad part to the customer. And it had zero other extra cost of quality.
Wow.
That's how you have to do it.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, a couple questions from the attendees. Just can you give us an idea, how many employees do you have in Traverse City and worldwide?
Well, we have about 155 or 160 people worldwide, and we have probably, I'm going to say, around 50 in Traverse City now. We've distributed them a lot. Our consultants and trainers are now distributed around the United States, in the U.S. We have an office in Mexico, and in Canada, and then we have, the offices in the other countries we showed. So that's kind of the gist of it. And we've just we've just shut down our molding lab in Traverse City for the season because we want to keep it for development and not get our employees that are doing sensors sick.
Excellent. All right, let's see. What was the major hurdle in your career taking and exporting your products internationally?
Okay, that's a really good question. You know, I really should have my youngest son, Matt, who is really retired from the business now. He ran it for 14 years and he's the one that took it overseas. And the cultural differences and what's necessary to get into other markets is really a big thing. And it really takes probably 4 times as long to go overseas as it does to start a business anywhere else. And it's, you know, getting the right people in the right places are really key.
That's good to know. Here's a question. It's from a kind of a legal perspective from another attendee. Very impressive story. Have you covered your technology with patents, or are you using primarily trade secrets?
Aha, that's a good question. I've got a lot of patents, and we don't do many patents anymore because you know, a patent will generally give you 18 months, and sometimes it shows more than you want to show. So you're better off to keep the technology proprietary as much as possible. And the ultimate thing is you've got to keep moving forward. So you know, you got to be the lead dog, because the view never changes.
Definitely. All right, here's another one. Do you have any concerns about maintaining your tech secrets in China? That's a good follow-up, I suppose.
Well, that's a very good follow-up. Not so much, and the reason is China at this point, they go after big markets. They go after, you know, they want to make 1 million of something. So we're off over in the corner with a little market niche that's a little crack in the and it takes a lot of technology to do what we do, and that's the good news. Gotcha.
Yeah. Does 3D printing play a role in your business now or in the future?
Oh, that's a good question. You know, we looked at it at first that it might be a competitor, and so we bought a 3D printer. We took a summer student who had some experience with 3D printing and had him pick us one, and we found that it was such a good thing to have around, and we could prototype parts and look at parts that somebody had designed and see the flaws in them and get to market quicker with injection molding. So we actually looked at it as such an asset that we put about 40 3D printers in the school systems in Traverse City through TCAPS.
Oh, wow.
And so we don't look at it as a competitor. It's part of, you know, it's kind of like radio and television. You know, radio didn't get put out of business by television.
Sure. That's good. You know, I wrote down about a half dozen questions and you answered them as you went along. I don't see any more that have popped up from the attendees, so that might bring us to the conclusion here. Rod, any final words you want to share?
Well, I think that you know, if you're a technical person like me, it takes a long time to realize that you've got to have good people skills, and you got to take the time to develop them, and it's the people that make the business. That's our only corporate capital we really have, are the people in the business, and we always hire people that are self-starters, and we have a 4-interview process to get that to happen. And the last interview is with the group of people they're going to work with, and if they reject the person, no matter how good they are, they don't get the job. It's a people world.
Yeah, that makes a lot of good sense there. So, well, it's obviously worked very well for you for a number of years. So I, wish you the best, and good luck, navigating the it sounds like you've already quickly adapted and pivoted to incorporate the virtual training. So that's impressive. And I hope everything continues to improve, or,
Well, I'm
whatnot.
always the paranoid one, so I push them to make changes and keep the place with positive cash flow. You know,
Excellent.
you
Yeah,
always got to do that.
it's probably a good idea. So,
Yeah.
Rod, thanks for the time. I'm gonna just kind of wrap it up here, and we'll see you around town here.
Okay, very good.
All right.
Thanks.
Great weekend. Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
All right, to the attendees that are on, appreciate your time joining. To those who are tuning in later, thanks for taking the time. That was very compelling from Rod Groleau of RJG Inc. We'll have an August webinar. I will email out the information on that in the near future. So everybody have a great weekend. Take care.